Warriors of National Guard recruiting, we have the opportunity today to hear how Staff Sergeant Aquino from the great state of New York gets her work done. And you're the Director's 54 from New York. So it's always good to talk to someone that has had success in recent times. So what I always like to do in the beginning of these is give you an opportunity to kind of tell your guard story and your guard recruiting story. So if you could do that, I'd appreciate it.
Good morning, everybody, whoever is in this podcast. My name is Staff Sergeant Aquino Angelica May. I am currently a Staff Sergeant in the New York Army National Guard, a recruiter and retention NCO as well. First of all, thank you for this opportunity, CSM, to give me, the time and day for us to talk about my success story and however it is that we can talk about how the Guard has helped me in my life. I was born and raised in the Philippines. I came here when I was 14 years old. I joined the New York Army National Guard when I was 23 years old. It was 2017, April 26. I enlisted as a 901 Delta. And when I got back from basic training in AIT, I picked up a recruiting assistant job for the Brooklyn team here in downstate New York City. And I have been the recruiter for them as well until now. I have helped my team accomplish the mission when I was an ADOS or recruiting assistant. I helped them with their individual mission, accomplished challenges for all of them to go over places and stuff that was as an incentives. And I was blessed enough to be the Director's 54 this year, 2022. Very, very much blessed, and especially that I was helped with by my team, and as well as my section chiefs, my commander, my first sergeant as well, prepared me as well. So, yep.
Well, that's an awesome story because I imagine you have a different perspective on the Guard. When you're 14, you're kind of growing up a little bit.
Yep.
And so you've been here for a little bit of time. So most people probably join a little bit earlier than you. So
Definitely.
being 23 when you joined, had you heard about the Guard in school or anything like that?
So when I was in high school, CMSM, I was actually thinking about the Air Force. I don't know why. But growing up in an Asian family, our first mentality, first of all, is just to do college first. I just didn't know anything about the Guard back then when I was in high school. I should have joined back when I was in high school, especially knowing about the benefits, especially for the educational opportunities the National Guard actually gives. I should have done that. But I mean, I joined the New York Army National Guard because I felt like I wanted to do something more other than what I was doing after bachelor's degree. It was something that I was like, you know what, I need to do this because, in an Asian family, everybody was like a nurse, a doctor. And I was like the only one who had courage enough to actually, let me join the military. And yeah, I'm helping out kids now who's actually on their way to get their bachelor's degree and stuff like that, being in the National Guard.
Yeah, I'd imagine that is very useful as a recruiter to say, well, I didn't know about this, and you can
Yep.
be this much further ahead of me if you make this decision now. So
Definitely.
well, one of the things that I'd like to just kind of get a handle on is there's a lot of negativity in recruiting. There just is. And
Yep.
especially the last couple of years where there's not been that many states that have made mission, and there's been less individual teams and individual recruiters make mission, but you've had success. What do you think is the reason for that? The last couple of years, getting yourself hired, becoming a Director's 54.
I don't know, CSM, but I really do love my job. Like I told you, I'm not from this country. I was not born from this country. The Guard has definitely given me the opportunity to get to where I am now, not just as an individual, but also just as a person, an NCO especially. Being a good NCO has taught me how to become a good recruiter. I mean, if you think about it, we have to become NCOs and leaders first, and we need to be competent. I mean, we need to know whatever we are selling to the kids. You know, at the end of the day, you have to be your subject matter expert. And being proficient in my job, knowing what to do, how to handle things, being resilient. It is, and there is a lot of stigma when it comes to being a recruiter, negativity, especially. Being able to, I can't do it mentality, replacing that with, I will do it instead of I'll try doing it, right? But not just that, to be honest, it's just by the support of my family, my motivation, and as well as the people, I mean, that I'm helping out. They are also my motivation. And that's what probably has kept me in the path of, I'm not saying being successful all the time, because I will have ups and downs, but being consistent to doing whatever I have to do, accomplishing my mission every year, helping others from my team, not just for myself, the people that are also in my team, and as well as getting help from my section chiefs, my first sergeant, my commander. I think that's what it basically comes down to, having the consistency, the drive, the motivation, having a heart to do this job, because it's, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's also not saying that it's not easy. So it could be easy, it could be not easy later on, but it really depends on how you do as a person, especially your work ethic.
Well, that's really a mouthful of things. The first thing to make sure the listeners are really picking up on this, the first thing that I get is true believer in the benefits of the Guard personally.
Right.
That's really important.
Mm-hmm.
Being a non-commissioned officer in the United States Army and in your state's National Guard, taking that seriously and saying, it's what I have to do. Being consistent, because we know nothing will work all the time. There's nothing that we do in recruiting that will never work, but it won't always work. So being consistent, being motivated, and having that self-talk of, I am going to do this. And I do think, like a lot of your peers, especially folks that are struggling, there becomes a tendency to throw it all up. Like nothing works. And even the self-talk and the behaviors and just taking pride in being an NCO disappear. Those sound like very basic things that everybody can do, but everybody doesn't do them. That's what makes you very uncommon. So if I asked you, how is it that you get enlistments? What would you say is the key thing that you do in recruiting that causes you to get enlistments?
I really think that the key is hard work. I mean, the drive, hard work, and work ethic, to be honest, CSM. It takes somebody to just come to work whenever they want to come to work, right? Having the set schedule from 9 to 10, that's what I'm going to be doing, 10 to 11, being able to time manage, especially in this job, and as well as knowing what to prioritize. I think that's very important as well. You can prospect all you want, but if you're not doing the follow-ups later on after your prospect, then there's no results afterwards, right? It's all about the opening and closing in this job, unfortunately. So it's either, you can get them in the office, but you cannot close the deal. The work effort that you've put in that person will be in waste. I feel like having to have great work ethic, knowing what to talk about, what they want to know and what they want to get from the Guard, instead of just dump trucking things. I think that's that's definitely important to be successful, and the keys to be successful.
Well, and that's another area that's like, it's not hard to show up at the same time and manage your schedule. It's not hard, but people struggle to do it. And might think that they don't get anything out of it because of this job does offer flexibility to some degree. I'm curious, very often we'll see on the recruiter forum, these, to me, they're kind of just nonsensical things that recruiters put out there, but invariably there'll be the post that the recruiter has taken someone to MAPS for the 7th time and then they get in, or the post where the person has been trying to get into the National Guard for a year and they lost 100 pounds to get in. And everybody kind of celebrates that, but for me, that's not a success story, because we spend a lot of time on individuals when there's a whole bunch of other people that don't need that work. And so I'm kind of wondering what your take is on some of the, you operate in the cities, so there's going to be a lot of marginal candidates. So what do you do to sift through those individuals that could suck up a lot of your time and never get in?
If temporarily or in the moment that they're not really eligible or qualified, we can give them a little bit of hope and motivation on the side. However, I'm not going to focus all my time with them, because we do have a lot of those. We have a lot of, applicants that currently are not qualified or available to enlist because of some sort of height and weight they can't pass. They can't pass through ASVAB, right? However, we can put that on the side for now, back burner, and then do whatever it is that we can prioritize. Just that's why it's important for us to prioritize our applicants. Like, which ones do we actually have to sort out? Who do we put our 100% efforts and time on? And at the same time, we have these people that are really wanting to join the National Guard. However, apparently for now, they're not, eligible. So we can put that for now on the side and just keep them motivated. Hey, this is what you have to do. Still talk to them, because at the end of the day, they could also still bring referrals to you, people that also wants to join and stuff like that. So it's just managing them, I guess.
Yeah, and what probably the big differentiator from someone like you is maybe someone that is struggling is not mentally counting those people as possible enlistments. It is, you're over here, this is what you need to do. When that changes, this disqualifying thing, then you can move up the priority. And I do think people really do struggle with it, because it's like, I have someone that's listening and they want to join,
but
yeah, but they can't join. And probably the number one behavior that you kind of mentioned earlier is like, well, I have to do the prospecting. Then you won't be willing to spend as much time with people that aren't qualified, because you'll come into more qualified people.
Right.
You've had a pretty good year. How is this year going? So last year you were the director for 54. How is this year going?
This year's going pretty okay. Well, we do have a lot of programs that actually just got introduced to the New York Army National Guard. We have 09 mics, right? The Cat 4s. We have ARMS 2.0 expansion programs. So we do have a lot of programs coming in. So far, so good, CSM. I'm currently sitting at 9 right now. Hopefully Tuesday, I would have the 10th. I have a mission of 16 for this FY. We also have started the remote oath of enlistment. I don't know if you've heard about that, but it's just like station to station now. They could actually enlist, not just in MEPS. So we're trying to do a lot of things in order for us to actually keep up the good work again. Just like FY22, we're going to do the same thing for FY23.
Well, and I feel like I need to mention this, and I try to figure out a good place to mention it. But yesterday, the New York National Guard had 27 people at MAPS, 25 got enlisted. So that's like a terrific day. Some of them,
Yes,
no
I was
doubt,
there.
you know. So you got in on some of that action. But the other thing that you mentioned there that might be ingrained on your team, but just not known around the guard world is you're looking at 10 by early January. So what is your objective on when you complete your mission?
First of all, CSM, I'd like to help out my team first of all, because I want us to enjoy our summers, enjoy everybody's summer, and take the time to take care of myself. Health-wise, I have to go to trips and stuff, but also win the nationals, to be honest. So I'm trying to win the nationals this March and really like help out the team complete their mission once I'm done with my mission, definitely.
But you guys, an Alpha company in particular, typically have an objective to have it wrapped up around third quarter. And most of those teams have been successful over the last few years of getting that done. And so I think it is important for people to know that because it just is very logical, that
Yes.
what happens when the fourth quarter is beginning? Schools are closing. The summer
Yep.
break is open. College is already closed.
Mhm.
So just logically, you're going to make the most amount of money in the recruiting business when school is in.
First, the second quarter. Yep.
Yeah. And I really feel like what we're coming into now is really prime recruiting time. January through May. If you're a senior, the number
You
on
don't
your
know what the heck is. Yeah. Yep.
number on your letter jacket is on the calendar.
Yep.
And every night at dinner, your parents are saying, well, what are you going
What are
to
you doing? Yep.
And that's a great time to meet a National Guard recruiter. And I noticed you're kind of a little bit reluctant about those aspirational goals, but I think, just part of my philosophy is if you chase perfection, you'll be pleased with excellence,
True
so,
that.
and I think that's important for your guys' team. And it's kind of an Alpha company thing. So I'd be interested in what you have to say about it. There really seems to be a team aspect, and how did that develop, and what is that like being a team member, having a lot of emphasis put on this team being successful?
I feel like our team, everybody on this team is very selfless, and it's like very rewarding to have people who also got your back. And that's why being a team member, especially in this team, it gives me a little bit more of like, hey, like I need to help them out because they have helped me out throughout the year, and not just this year, last year too. Right. So we are like family in my team, to be honest. CSM, we hang out every month. We have our NCOPD. And then after that, we would go out, we would have fun activities. Last month we did axe throwing. So
Wow.
so January, it will be another NCO who's going to be organizing another team event. So we have been doing a lot of team building exercises, especially for this team, because I feel like working in a very team-oriented, detachment or team, it gives you a little bit more of motivation to drive a little bit more, to work harder, because you like working in the team. You like working in the environment, in the office where you feel like it's a family. So
And maybe it feels like a little bit less work.
yeah, let's work. It's like, it's fun to come in to work with, and stuff like that, CSM.
Well, it's interesting because the very first time that I did some work with New York was like 2017. And it was a consolidated event, but the leadership from Alpha Company was the group that invited me out to dinner and do something social. It was the Alpha Company folks. So I think
Nice.
that's ingrained, and it might not seem like it is that valuable, but it's been proven to be very valuable to have
Definitely.
a lot of people pulling in one direction, and it ends up filling in the gaps with people and making people better. So
Definitely.
I'm very curious about what you would say to those that are new or struggling right now, of what they can do to get jump started to get back on track from your perspective.
That is a really good question, CSM, because we have a lot of new members or new recruiters in our team as well. And they're feeling the pressure, and at the same time, they're kind of hitting the road, hitting the wall, face flat. But I was once new as well. And thank gosh I was actually an ADOS before. So when I was an ADOS, I was enlisting 10 people, for our team. But now I can see the struggles. I can see how they're very frustrated, because it does happen. It happens that they don't know the AO or their area of observation, right? They don't know what it is, like what their diversity, the people that they have to enlist and stuff like that. They just need to be patient, patient, and please ask questions. I feel like there's no wrong questions, right? There's no dumb questions. Ask questions, read a lot, ask your colleagues, ask your battles, ask everybody on the team that's been there recruiting for a long time. Pick up the good habits.
Yeah.
Don't pick up the bad habits. Pick up the good things that each recruiter has in that team, and literally be patient, because it's not easy. I mean, for them, because for them it's just numbers. It's more like they need to take it in as like the people that they're actually enlisting, instead of just a number, right? So just be patient, ask a lot of questions, literally like sit down with every recruiter, how they work, pick up the good habits, like I said. And I keep emphasizing, please keep the good habits instead of the bad habits that they could see from other, recruiters and stuff. And just have a good, really work ethic and schedule, because it's going to be tough in the first 2 years.
Well, you kind of brought up the ADOS thing a couple times, and this would be benefit leadership that is listening. Do you think it was beneficial for you now down the trail that when you came on ADOS, there was an expectation that you produce something, that you had to go find someone to join? Do you think that has benefited you to get to where you're at right now?
Yeah, I would say yes, CSM. For me personally, definitely. When I was in ADOS, I think it's a very great advantage that I was in ADOS first before I was in recruiting, or as a recruiter. The reason why is because I had the opportunity to practice myself in talking to recruits, talking to an applicant, like the prioritization between what applicants I need to prioritize first versus the last, and having my face out there already, because the people that I've enlisted for ADOS, when I was in ADOS, they have also given me referrals when I became a recruiter. And they've also talked about me to their colleagues before and stuff like that. So, the connection has gotten in, and it was actually beneficial for me. But also because I really wanted to become a recruiter. So there could be ADOS out there that are not probably doing the same that I was doing when I was in ADOS. But that's because I really wanted to be a recruiter, and I really wanted to be there. Yeah.
Well, and I'll be transparent why I asked that question is I do think those people that you just mentioned, that maybe not necessarily want to be a recruiter, then it doesn't make
Exactly.
sense. It doesn't make sense to be around, you know. You're not going to go hang out at a mechanic shop if you have zero interest in learning about repairing cars.
Mhm.
And in your situation, you came in to be ADOS. Your goal was to become a recruiter, and the organization said, well, if you're going to become a recruiter, do some recruiting,
Right.
you know, and we'll know if this is a good fit, if you're a good fit for us, because you will have got some people enlisted.
Right.
And for you, you had much more confidence once you got hired because you had put somebody in and you've done all these steps and say, well, yeah, I can see myself doing this job. You know, to me, it's more like a probationary period where it's easy for either party to walk away, but it is beneficial to everybody if you really put in the effort. So,
Definitely.
well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I will just, I do appreciate you doing this. I do think people can benefit from it. And just wanted to highlight a few of the things that you mentioned and give you an opportunity for a final word. That being consistent, having a schedule, you know, having a strong work ethic, putting a priority on being an NCO, these things are foundational. And really, the overall thing that comes out when I listen to you is you believe in the National Guard. You think it's a good deal. I think it's a good deal too. I'm a 52-year-old man, and you know, I get paid to not show up anymore because of my membership in the Guard. So it's a terrific deal. So people really got to take stock of what they've gotten out of the Guard in order to feel that way. And I think that is a key contributor to you being successful. And so a lot of people can take that lesson. But I want to give you the final word. I really do appreciate you doing this, but if there's anything you want to put out there to recruiters, especially now as we get into prime recruiting time, please.
Right. Well, I just would like to say that, you know, at the end of the day, we have a job to do, and let's just do the job, and then let's keep our head up. Not every time that whatever you want will go through, because it does happen in recruiting world a lot. And most of the time we get very discouraged. We get frustrated, discouraged, and sometimes the world is probably crumbling down, you know, but we just gotta keep a head up. We have to be resilient at most of the time, all the time. And just believe in what you think is right for you. Just like what we talked about, how like the National Guard has definitely helped me out in everything. And I'm very grateful for this organization. So I would like to also spread that out to the people that I'm going to be enlisting and helping out to join the New York Army National Guard. So that's pretty much it, CSM. Just keep a head up and being resilient, believe on the people that has your back, and believe in the Guard.
That's awesome.